think this year I'll go a lot harder. Last year I think I was a bit too conservative. Everyone talks about how it's a tough course. I think, sure, there are steep hills, but there's also steep downhills where you get to recover. So last year I was able to recover a lot on the downhills, and I don't think I pushed the uphills hard enough.
I call it just, an hour worth of redlining on the bike. I mean, that's what it roughly takes us for the bike leg, and it's just all out. And it goes so quick. I mean, there's so many things that you have to think about, the climbing, the cornering, the descending. By the time you've done the bike, it's gone by that quickly. But there are, if you're not so skilled on the bike, it can be a big challenge.
There's so much to concentrate on. I'm making sure I'm in the right gears right as I approach corners, because I want to be in the right gear coming out. As I approach the hills, I want to ride with momentum, coming down descents, knowing if it's a scoop and I'm coming right into an ascent, got to be in the right gear. So I think a lot of it is anticipating what's around the corner.
Welcome to the world-famous streets of San Francisco. The first 2 miles and the last 2 miles of this bike course are flat and fast. Other than that, the remaining 14 miles not only go past the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge through the beautiful Presidio and out to the Golden Gate Park, but it also contains grueling and grinding uphills, roller coaster-like screaming downhills, throw in over a dozen left turns and a dozen right turns, and this bike course even gives the most seasoned pro or age group triathlete a good, challenging workout. This is a technical bike course, to say the least.
It's a battle royale on the streets of San Francisco, and it's being led by the young Australian Josh Amberger. These first 2 miles, Jenna, are flat and fast.
The athletes love this. It gives them a chance to get their feet in their shoes, get their legs going, start to warm up their bodies as they head into the hills.
The Americans are chasing. Lagerstrom, Dye up into second place now, and Andy Potts just behind. Cameron Dye looking strong.
Mark, they need to be strong because right off those flat roads, they start heading into the hills, and it's pretty unrelenting for the rest of the race.
Our lead female, the American Lauren Goss, is looking really smooth out and looking to extend her lead.
Her cadence is up. She looks fantastic. She's got her eyes forward. It looks like she wants to make a run at winning this thing.
And now Andy Potts is starting to show his strength. There's quite a seesaw battle here. Could this help this group of athletes?
Having other cyclists to work with can really be a benefit. They can let each other take turns at the front. And for Eric Lagerstrom, who's never raced here and was a late entry into the event, he may be looking at Potts to sort of dictate the pace, when to push, when to recover. Since Potts has raced here, this will be 10 times this year.
Yeah, 10 times, 6 wins. But Josh Amberger is out in front by himself. He has to have a very different focus.
It's funny to see Josh looking around. It's almost like he expects them to already be coming up from behind. Maybe he doesn't know exactly how big a lead he had out of that swim. The best thing he can do is keep his cadence up and keep pushing hard on all of these hills.
Amberger is riding very strongly, but it's not just the physical and mental preparation. Equipment choice is very important.
Yes, Mark. All of these athletes have taken time to figure out exactly what bike they want to ride, whether it's a time trial bike, a TT bike, or a road bike. Time trial bikes are generally used on flat courses, but now that there's electronic shifting, they can shift from both the aero position and from their handlebars. These bikes are faster, they're a little bit heavier, which makes the descending quicker. So you'll see that most of them have made that decision.
Soaring up into the fog to the highest point of the bike course before the downhill descent. This is second place Cameron Dye taking a slight breather.
It's always great to ride past that Legion of Honor. He now has a little bit of a downhill before he has to start climbing again. And this is actually Drew Scott. He has made up a lot of time already. He's an exceptional cyclist. He's actually the son of Dave Scott, who is a very well-known former professional triathlete.
Australian Ashley Gentle now on the hill. She continues to gain time on the leaders. She's moved past McClarty and is chasing Goss, but Leander Cave is in hot pursuit.
Leanda has told me that she's been riding a lot. She's actually been training down in Miami, in South Beach, which you'd think, it being flat, you know, her cycling wouldn't be great. She said it actually has had the opposite effect because she hasn't had any time to spin down the hill. She constantly has to ride hard.
Cave showing her strength, Gentle in sight, the technical part of the course around the corner.
Those athletes with good descending skills will use this piece of the course, a long, sweeping technical descent past Cliff House, to make up time on their competition. The tricky part here is that the crosswinds will hit you dead on, and if you're not prepared, it can sweep you right off your bike. It's just one more element that makes this bike course so challenging.
A very fast and potentially dangerous descent here. This is where the roads are wet from the fog. Tyre pressures are high. Eric Lagerstrom is on fire. He is flying. That's a high-risk move.
You have to take these risks on this course. There are just as many downhills as there are uphills. And to be able to descend and take a quick, hard line, you're going to make up a lot of time on your competitors who aren't as comfortable descending.
Well, Eric Lagerstrom is known for his downhill ability. They are still chasing this man, the Australian, out in front. Josh Amberger enters the 4-mile loop of the Golden Gate Park.
Our lead woman, still Lauren Goss, passing the Legion of Honor. And right behind her, the Australian Ashley Gentle. She's quickly closing down that gap, but she also has Leanda Cave right on her heels. 4 men are hunting down Australian Josh Amberger. We see America's Cameron Dye, followed by Eric Lagerstrom, Drew Scott, and Andy Potts. This small group seems to be working together to shut down that lead.
We are now on board with Ashley Gentle on her bike cam, and you can see behind her Leander Cave now out of the saddle, getting maximum strength out of her legs. This gap is closing.
The gap is closing very fast, and Lauren Goss should be worried because I have a feeling that once Leanda catches up to Ashley, the two of them are going to hunt her down very quickly.
The hunter about to become the hunted as Leander Cave makes her move. Will Ashley Gentle be able to respond?
Ashley has responded, and now both women have passed Lauren Goss. So Leanda's now in first, Ashley Gentle is in second, and Lauren Goss has fallen back to third, just like that.
This race is shaping up to become one of the all-time classics in the history of the Escape from Alcatraz Triathlon as our 3 lead women head into the Golden Gate Park.
The men's race is equally exciting. We still have our 4-man chase group hunting down the Australian Josh Amberger. There you see Potts, who is right on Cameron Dye's heels.
And it's interesting, if we look at the tactics here, it seems that Dye is really pushing hard on the flats, and Josh Amberger, though, is on the steep part of the course.
This is the steepest hill in the course, and it comes at a point when your legs are just burning. They're screaming. You've got to keep pushing hard. You've got to get to the top of this hill, because then it's more or less downhill all the way home.
And in the distance behind, you see the chase pack. They now have him in sight. His lead has whittled down from nearly a minute out of the water. It looks like it's about 30 seconds.
That group behind Josh has certainly worked well together to close down this gap. They are going to put the pressure on him and really make this come down to a running race.
And after such a grueling bike leg, who is going to have the leg speed?
Back with the women in Golden Gate Park. We're on board with Ashley Gentle. There we see she's now moved into first place ahead of Leanda, but Lauren Goss is still hanging on. It seems the 3 of them are now marking each other.
Josh Amberger has his head down and he is heading for home. He's on the last downhill stretch. What an incredible race here by Drew Scott.
Drew has had a fantastic bike ride, probably one of the strongest ones that we've seen today. And Cameron Dye riding by here almost looks casual as he heads down this descent.
Well, he's out for a Sunday ride, but that last descent is going to be all important. There we see Andy Potts, and Lagerström seems to be losing time on the uphills, but he's such a fast descender.
He's fearless when it comes to descending. Another man who just rode by is Kevin Collington, and we haven't talked about him much today. He's a 70.3 guy, so his cycling strength is certainly showing here, and he's put himself in the mix.
Cave and Goss, the cat and mouse battle continues, and it looks like they may have dropped Ashley Gentle. There we see Goss look behind her. It looks like that last surge may well have dropped Gentle. This is a critical part of the race.
Lauren Goss showing a bit of the fatigue on her face, but here comes Gentle. She is not giving up. She knows that she has probably the fastest run, so if she can stay in contact, she could be a real contender.
Cave, head down, out of the saddle. Goss looking really smooth with a high cadence. Two very different styles.
Josh Amberger from Australia, first off the bike. He has maintained his bike lead and gets to come into T2 alone, still at the front of this race.
This is an incredible performance to be out by yourself through the entire swim, now throughout the entire bike, but this is looking tricky right now.
Josh's feet probably feel like numb stumps, and it's really difficult to get your feet in your shoes when you can't feel your toes. They get all tangled up. It's certainly not easy.
The chasers now coming into the final transition, and Cameron Dye once again used his speed on the flats to come into second place. Lagerström using his downhill expertise to take third, and there is the defending champion, Andy Potts. Right now, the young Australian has led from start to finish. An outstanding bike time of 46.44 and a very quick transition. He has a strong lead going into the final run leg.
Now our women. Leanda Cave has separated herself, and she is coming into transition in first place. She loves to start the run leg at the front.
And she's very familiar with this position, having won it 4 times. Now we see Lauren Goss tentatively entering there. It's a tricky part of the race. You're numb, and you've got to make sure you don't make any mistakes.
Goss having a relatively smooth transition, and here comes Ashley Gentle. She has closed that gap again, and she is going to be quick to get her shoes on, wanting to get out to chase Leanda.
Cave's training focus paying dividends with the fastest bike split of all. Marinda Carfrey also a fantastic bike leg, and quick transition there by Lauren Goss. It's a close race, the all-important run leg to come.